Tonight's opening prayer offering is for Kayla and Bobby. Lord Jesus Christ, we pray that Thou wouldst cover us, our families, and all our possessions with Thy love and Thy most precious blood, and surround all of us with Thy heavenly angels, saints, and the mantle of our Blessed Mother. Thank you, Lord Jesus Christ. We ask this in Thy holy name. Jesus, I ask Thee to bind and seal all power sources attached to any of us in the most precious blood of Jesus, and I ask Thee to render them all completely helpless, impotent, neutralized, paralyzed, and ineffective. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Welcome, brothers and sisters. This is Reverend Shawn Whittington's Paranormal Ministry. I'm your host, Reverend Shawn, the Rev. Welcome to my haunted home, my very haunted home. I want to share something with you guys real quick before we get started. I'm going to hold it up for about 10 seconds, and hopefully you guys can see it well. This is a very special gift that was recently given to me by my guests, my very first guests a couple of weeks back, Connie and Barry Strom. And what this is an illuminated copper plate etching taken from a 1620 Martin Luther Bible. And Barry's message for all of us is, think of Goliath being evil, and we are all David trying to defeat it. And it doesn't get more real than that. So thank you, Barry and Connie. I love you both. Brothers and sisters, before we go any further, I want to ask that all of you keep these other teams in your prayers, please. GhostBegone.biz, the ministry. Vegas Supernatural. Worldwide Society of Exorcists, ReverendShawn.com. Have you guys done your good deed for the day yet today? If not, pick up a copy of my book, God, Ghosts, and the Paranormal Ministry. Part of the proceeds goes to St. Jude's Children's Research Hospital here in Nevada, and that is a very good thing. It still brings me to tears every time I send them money, and if you have purchased the book, you're a part of that. So God bless you too. The Worldwide Society of Exorcists, please keep them in your prayers. Those are my students. They will be patrolling the neutral zone between our world and hell. So pray for them. If you're interested in taking my online course, Introduction to Spiritual Warfare, they're holding open enrollment now. You can go to the website, GhostBegone.biz website, and at the top of the home page, there's a little icon that says the WSE course. Click on that. That'll take you to another page. Scroll down to the bottom of that, and there you'll see where you can enroll for the course. All my graduates get a stunning diploma when they graduate. I'm actually jealous I don't get one. And I've also been able to arrange to have all my students have a lifetime membership to the Worldwide Society of Exorcists, so that's a very cool thing too. My wife and I, Sharon, have started GhostBegone.biz over 17 years ago. Sharon is a certified Stephen minister through the Lutheran faith. She's a near-death experience survivor a couple of times over. She's a survivor of an extreme demonic attack. That attack left her with 3 very rare forms of cancer, and we are still in that battle and fighting that good fight today, so keep her in your prayers. I'm a baptized Catholic. I'm still a devout Catholic. I've been seeing spirits since I was very young. Got introduced to my first paranormal case, if you will, about the age of 10. Never looked back. I've been a Ghostbuster ever since. And now I'm an ordained exorcism deliverance minister, advanced practice through Worldwide Society of Exorcists. And that's a Christian university. I'll be here every Sunday, guys, 5 p.m. Pacific sharp on the Spirit Realm Network. Please join us. Think of it as your weekly supernatural support group. I want you to have some fun, let your hair down, mingle with like-minded people such as yourself. There's no judgment here. And if there's anything paranormally related that you need help with, reach out to us. I promise we will do our very best to help you, and we'll do it right here live on air if you want. So please reach out to us. Without further ado, guys, I am going to bring on tonight's guest. You all know her. You all love her. She's my publisher. She's a publisher, a writer, paranormal experiencer, paranormal authority, owner of Stellium Books, one and only Annette Munnich. Annette, how are you?
Hey, Shawn, how are you? Thanks for having me on.
Annette, no, thank you. I know you're very busy. And I want to apologize to all my viewers tonight that you're not at home, so we weren't able to get you on camera. Uh, that basically just robs them of all your beauty. So I apologize to them. But next time I have you on, we're going to make sure we get you on camera. But no, I really appreciate you being here with me. I know you got a lot on your plate, a lot going on. Everybody knows that about you. James Brown's the hardest working man in show business, and you have to be the hardest working woman in the supernatural and paranormal publishing game. So thank you very much. And I love you. So how are you tonight?
Oh, I so appreciate that. And thank you for the compliments and the kind words. And I do work hard, but that comes and goes in spurts. Sometimes I'm working on a lot of projects at once, and then I kind of back off a little and take a breather. And recently I've been hard at it again, but it's publishing is a very demanding field, and there's always a lot of things changing, and it's a highly competitive field, and so all of that is something that we do our best with. So I'm doing fine.
Well, I have to tell you, this was because of you. This was a great year for me. Everybody knows you're my publisher. Uh, Editing and publishing my book put you through a lot. We've shared that, and I plan to have you share a little bit of that with my listeners. You've also published another book this year for a good friend of both of ours, Bill Bean. We'll talk a little bit about his book, Dark Force Revisited. We'll also talk about you've got a new children's book out, which is totally cool. I think that's very cool. And I've already got orders placed, so you better get it out there. I know you broke the news yesterday. You couldn't wait to break it today, but on my show. But you have a new perfume out, which uh, looks awesome. It probably smells better than it looks. And like I said, I've already got people that are wanting to order it. So we'll talk about that also. But I want to start here. I didn't go too crazy. The show's only an hour long. You know me. I way over prepare. I tried not to do that tonight, but I got some questions that not only do I want to know, but people that know you have sent me private messages on Facebook, other emails and things of that such, wanting to know these things about you. So I'll start at the top. Your paranormal background. Everybody knows you did a radio show for a long time. You've appeared on this television show, that television show, whether they were news programs, television programs, what have you. But you're not just, it just didn't all start as the owner of Stellium Books. You've got your paranormal experiencer, you've got a paranormal background. Talk to me a little bit about some of that long before you got on the path that you're on now.
The funny thing is that I don't call myself a paranormal investigator, and I never was a whole lot of that. I got involved in the paranormal from my own experiences, and I ended up fortunate enough to have the opportunity to do a show. And this was never something that I set out to do, when like a life goal or something that I wanted to do a radio show. It just sort of happened. And I was using the radio show as a way to have guests on, and I was garnering knowledge and understanding from them. And the show did pretty well, but I think that basically I had a good attitude with people. I wasn't discounting what anybody said. I think the paranormal is this big wide open thing, and we don't really understand it, and everyone has the right to their theory. And I was kind of fascinated by it. Having said all that, I recently, this month, was at Bachelor's Grove Cemetery here,
Oh,
just south of Chicago, which is one of the top 10 most haunted cemeteries in the U.S. And so I did do a little bit of that, but what I would say, if I could say something about this, it's really important to add. When I was doing my radio show, I had a website that did very well, and I got a lot of emails from people and asking me to help with their problems. And as I stated, I didn't feel that I'm a very seasoned paranormal investigator, so I would try to make referrals. But the reason that I'm bringing this up is I really just wish that people would have the utmost respect when they're walking into a situation that is paranormally active, and to do their best not to make it any worse if it's a family home for the people that live there. And even if it's a cemetery, like Bachelor's Grove, for example, which was a very sad place because it was overgrown, but it's being kept up very nicely now, as nice as it's going to get. You know, it's all trimmed and not weeds, but it's a sad and desolate place. Pictures of Bachelor's Grove make it look like it's not full, but it's completely full. There's so many headstones missing, knocked over, and whatnot. And the pond there, the mafia used to dump bodies into, because way back when, that area was kind of considered like a boondocks for Chicago. It wasn't all built up all the way to that place like it is now. But, you know, I'm getting off topic. But, you know, if people had more, I feel like, just respect, walking with the right attitude. I was asked to go back to Bachelor's Grove, and I declined today because I didn't feel like I was in the right place for it. I feel like when you're getting ready to do something like that you should feel clear and high vibration. And when I'm walking through, normally I'm praying the whole time, um, blessing the souls that are there. You know, I just really feel like a lot of our paranormal problems are caused by a lack of respect, and um, it's not a fun and games kind of thing. It's
no.
not, you know, like, you know, especially younger people. Oh, you know, what would be cool, you know? Oh, this would be so cool. You know, that's not the right attitude at all. And it's not right, you know, to them. And just a lot of letters that I got that were really, really upsetting. So many problems that people were going through. And I feel like some of them were just started from people either trying to do things that they weren't ready to do. Like, I don't believe that, you know, you just march into some place and, you know, without any training and all by yourself, try to clear dark energies or something. You know, it is an act of faith, but it's also fairly foolhardy. Um, just get a little bit more education, which is why I love what you're doing, because you teach people, and anybody that comes to you is going to get good, solid advice. And so that's, you know, something that's so wonderful about you. But it's funny because people still think I'm a paranormal investigator. I'm really not. I wouldn't call myself that. I'm just in it because of my own experiences, and then, you know, the time that I spent on the radio, communicating with other people and interviewing and, just trying to get as much information out there as I possibly could.
I appreciate the compliment. It's funny that you say that, though. I had a guy reach out to me for help this week, and he started by saying you were down near the bottom of the list of people that I wanted to reach out to for help. It's because I listened to you on one of your shows, and I heard you say that you don't you don't know anything, that you don't have all the answers, you don't know anything, and I thought that was the funniest thing because it's true. I don't know anything, and I don't have all the answers, but um, it was just kind of funny. He said, and all the people that I called before you, pretty much, I could tell by them talking to me that they didn't know anything either. So I appreciate your honesty, and I figured, you were probably the guy I should have reached out to in the first place. So that was
But
kind of funny. But
you
I'm
know
glad you
what? You know
brought
what's
Bachelor's
cool is for
Grove up.
somebody to be in the paranormal community and an investigator and doing what you do. But you know what any of us have done and have an attitude, have some humility left, and I think mistakes are made as well because this is the normal way that our brains work. This is how we learn. Oh, I went through something like this before, and this seems like it's just like that, and so we'll treat it just like that, and maybe it is, and yet maybe it isn't. Like it's very easy to, we're trying to logic everything out in an area where logic does not need to apply. And your past experiences help you, but every day, every um, experience is a brand new, um, I don't want to say journey, but here you are, and you have to have some humility because I really think, Shawn, my personal belief is that the truth is bigger than all of us could really comprehend on what all of this is. The whole truth is probably a mind blowing concept. And we're just getting little glimmers and pieces, and we're having these experiences and talking about it. So, you know, I
Well,
like
I have to
you are
ask
always,
you.
you have humility and yet you're knowledgeable, but you're in it for the right reasons and you're handling yourself the right way and you have the right mindset when you go in and you're prepared.
Thank you. I try. Um,
You do well.
I have to ask you. I'm glad you brought Bachelor's Grove up because that is you answered my question before I got a chance to ask it about if is it still as badly unkept. But that is like a breeding ground for malevolence there, because not only is now that cemetery is many parts of it has been desecrated, but now
Right,
you have the area was a dumping ground for the mob. I think at
right.
one time near there was like swamp lands and heavy wooded area. But
Yeah.
who owns that land?
Well, the funny thing is, it's become part of the park district. Um, so the park district is maintaining it over time. That's just like once upon a time there was a dinky little cemetery, and then everything grew around it, and then a whole bunch of land was designated to be park district, and it's part of the park district. If you didn't know it was there, you'd have a hard time finding it. Um, a couple of years ago, we had people come in and they were filming a sizzle reel for a TV show, actually a pilot, and I was like laughing at them so hard because they didn't ask me, and they parked and walked in the long way, which was like 2.5 miles through the woods, when there was a much easier way to go in there, but they didn't know that. But these are my old stomping grounds, so I would tell you how to get in there in like 15 minutes. But um, it is maintained now and it feels a lot lighter now. It doesn't feel as heavy as it used to. But however, what I do want to add, and I do have a couple of pictures from there that are questionable. One looks like a little bit of, my brother took it, of me walking down the trail when we were leaving. little bit of mist by my calf and this like um, line of light going across my back. And then up in the upper right hand part of the picture, that mist is there. And then in another picture, there's this tree. And I wanted to go back and look at this tree because I don't remember this tree having 3 red lines going across it. But the tree did have 666 painted on it. And it had an upside down pentagram. And people have performed rituals there and like sacrificed animals there. People have dug up graves there and taken the bones out and stuff. This is a really sad, awful place. Like for a long time, it was totally forgotten. And it's a full cemetery, even though it's small. I think there's 80 people or so buried there, but you wouldn't think so. So, you know, when they brought the black magic kind of things in there, that added a whole nother element to what was already going on. Also, for anyone that finds this interesting, I was doing a thing with a guy maybe 10 years ago who was going out there a lot, and so was I. And we were like keeping track of things that were happening of paranormal occurrences and weather conditions because I had a theory about there's a big power source there, and then there's that big pond there, and so there's a water source. And then the way there was trenches dug around for excess water when it rains, then the whole thing can almost be gently encircled by water. And my theory was that that would make it more active. Like there was just more energy source for it than when it's dry and the pond is low and whatnot. So we were kind of doing that, but very interesting place. And, you know, people get obsessed with it. It's just, I'm not thinking that it feels as active as it used to be, but that's probably a good thing. That means peace.
Yeah, absolutely. I do have a question for you. It came in from Angelina. Thank you for the question, Angelina. I hope you're enjoying the show. She says, what is the best way to get rid of an attachment? You know what's that's all that has been coming across my table, my desk here this week, is people with issues with attachments. And I know people in your neck of the woods there that have gotten attachments from that cemetery. And it might even be that some of them were the woman that's always seen either walking up and down the dirt road, or she's photographed on many, sitting on many tombstones, either praying or crying. She's followed people home, but there's other malevolent things there that have followed people home. How do you handle that? I know people are tired. I pretty much tell people the same thing. I come from a religious angle towards getting rid of these attachments. But you know, what do you say to people when they come to you, Annette? I know you don't really do this anymore. You're a publisher, but I know you did it one time. You know a lot. I've got an attachment. What do you say to them?
Hi, Angelina. Thanks for the question. Here's something interesting. This is part of the answer. But when I was there just a few weeks ago, you know, people, they bring little gifts and they put it there's a little grave for a baby. It just says infant girl. And people leave all kinds of little things there. And, you know, the practice of putting pennies and dimes and stuff on gravestones. And my brother was with me, as I mentioned before, and he saw something in the grass and he picked it up and I said, put that back down. And he goes, oh, you know, it was kind of cool. And I said, take nothing home from here. Nothing. Nothing. Put it back down. Bless it and put it back down. And then the prayer on the way in, there's quite a walk up the trail. The trail is just as haunted as a cemetery. I've had people send me EVP that they took on the trail, and that picture of me, that was on the trail. That wasn't even in the cemetery yet. They know when you're coming. They know when you're going. That's not just Bachelor's Grove. That's a lot of places. They know when you're coming and they know when you're going. And, you know, I said earlier, have the utmost respect. But what my brother says is that that picture he took of me was when I started walking right after I said, we're leaving now. God bless you. We're going to say a prayer and we're going to leave. None of you can come with us. I say that. I also, you know, say a prayer when we're opening. So it's kind of like in a prayer fashion. I'm sure you do this too in your own way. You open the door and then you gently close the door. You know, you can't come with us. If something would happen where I came home, then I think the best way to handle that is to just, you know, I speak to spirits, but I don't try to get them to speak to me. If I go in a haunted situation, which the word haunted is a word that I use in a different way than other people, because I believe haunted means that there's something actually attached to the place, to the property, to a person, to an object, that it's always there. But I mean, you got to be careful about encouraging. A lot of people get obsessed and they're doing EVPs and the history, and the history can be really compelling and it's all mysterious. But that's also encouragement because, you know, do you want to talk to me? If you can hear me, make the flashlight go on or make a sound, or, you know, now you're going from I'm a person with a haunted situation that I don't want to I'm a person with a haunted situation that I say that I don't want, but I'm encouraging interaction, I'm encouraging communication, I'm encouraging this whole thing to step up another level. Because in reality, if you don't know how to get rid of it, you're just making your situation larger. Um, the To me, pray it into the light. Say, hey, I understand that you're here, but you don't live here anymore. You've passed away. You have family and loved ones waiting for you on the other side. And I would like to pray for you, and I'll pray for the angels to come and help you go where you need to be. There's nothing left here for you anymore. Sometimes they don't like that. But
Absolutely.
if it gets to
Most
be too
most
extreme, then you have to get some professional help and ask someone like Shawn, because there's always the chance that you can get into a situation that starts doing you a lot of harm, a lot of damage. It's ongoing, and in spite of your best efforts, and you know, the blessed metals, I'm a big one for that, and the metals on the property and house blessings. If you're going through that and it's not better, you have to get a professional to come in, someone that you really trust, someone that won't get your situation amped up to an even worse level and then leave you high and dry, because there are people that go through that. That they get help and a team comes in, and the team is not all teams are very, I'm not putting them down, but a lot of teams are not very religious. They come in and they just are trying to get the perfect evidence. They're looking for that perfect, compelling evidence. And it's more about that than about helping the family, what they're going to leave behind when they go. And their paranormal investigation knowledge comes from a television show.
not good.
There's a lot of people hoping and praying to run into things that you really shouldn't hope to and wish to run into. Oh, you know, I hope we see that tonight. Why would you hope that? People wanting to get themselves locked into paranormal places, do a paranormal lockdown, and I'm always like, oh, no. I mean, no.
Absolutely.
Why? You know, it's not a game. It's not a joke. It's, you know, just have the
Well,
right
let me.
kind of approach and be careful. There was one lady, I read her book, that she had something about these seeds, these fruit seeds that she left behind her, like pomegranate seeds or something like that. On the way out, she would sprinkle seeds. I don't know about that. I think that sounds just a little bit too um, I don't
Like an
know.
offering to the elementals before leaving. Huh.
Yeah,
Interesting.
just have the right attitude, have the right mindset, be clear. I pray for Archangel Gabriel to help you be clear, clear in your thoughts, clear in your words, clear in your communication, clear in your understanding, that you keep your clarity, you keep your balanced body, mind, and spirit, that you are present and you are unafraid, and yet you're not on the other end of that where you're foolish and risk taking. You're present in the moment and you're doing the best that you can, um, with the intent of harming no one, harming nothing, and never take anything out of there. I don't care what you find. Take a picture of it, but don't take it out of there. Anyway, that tree, when 10 years later, here she comes back to it. The tree, it had 666 painted on it and an upside down pentagram. And when I got home and I looked at the pictures, it had 3 red streaks going across it that look like the streaks extend beyond the tree. So at first, when you look at the picture, you think, were those like painted on the tree? But I don't think it was. Maybe it was, but I'm thinking it wasn't. And then the streaks extend beyond the end of the tree. And Bachelor's Grove, the last thing I want to say about it, it's a place of illusion. And it really messes with people. And I think that's how they get obsessed, because there's like a house that you see, but you never can walk to it, and it'll disappear. And then there's lights that flash above, overhead, and there's little things like a guy had a picture of a tombstone where you could read clearly what it said, and then another picture from a different day where that very same tombstone, it just, was so worn away that it was not readable anymore. So, and things that people see in the trees and stuff like that, I think that it's one of those places that it would be easy to become obsessed and keep going back, because you're like, just because I saw this time doesn't mean it will be, look, feel, appear, show itself the same next time. It's all very odd like that. Yeah.
It's crazy how many people are mad at me right now because
Oh
they
no.
expected me to show up at their house, wave a magic wand, and get this attachment to leave. And either it was already there, for something that they did to open a door, or make this thing feel that it was given permission to attach, or they went and did something like you did, on a ghost hunt somewhere where they shouldn't have been, and they said the wrong thing at the wrong time, did something they shouldn't have done, and brought it home. I just want people to know that as quickly as they can come upon you and attach upon you, it's not the same in getting rid of them. It would be great if they were that agreeable most of the time. I would settle for 80% of the time if you said, listen, I know you're here, but you're dead. You don't belong here. I don't want you here. I rebuke your presence, and I ask that you leave in the name of Jesus Christ and go to the light, or go anywhere but here. And if you don't go, I'm going to bring some people over. They're going to send you someplace you're not going to want to spend eternity. So please leave now. That'd be great if, that's all it took. But more times than not, it takes more, and it's just hard for me to get through these people's head that they need to fight, and they could be in for a fight for a long time.
Right.
So that's my dilemma right now. But yeah, people, I think the long and short of it is, if you're not in this because something happened in your life and now you have a real passion to want to communicate with spirit and find out what the whole paranormal world is about, and wanting to talk to the dead and
And
find out life after death and all that, if it's not a calling or a passion, and you were drug into it kicking and screaming, which most people that now have a passion for it
Well,
we're actually pretty much
I
drug into it, kicking and screaming. That all these new ghost,
yeah.
hunters and Ghostbusters coming along, they just want to do it as a hobby, and that's dangerous.
Back in the day, um, I was having things happen starting from the time I was a teenager, and pretty much most of it was benign, which is what I say to most people. Most ghosts and most paranormal things that happen are benign. They might make their presence known, but they don't really mean you any harm. But then there's the section that does mean you harm and is very intelligent, and that's out there too. So I moved into a home where the owners before us were Satanists or devil worshippers or something like that, and so that's when I really became um, almost obsessed, like to another level, because back then this was before people had internet, and there could be people around you, but you'd be finding them in the yellow pages or something, and go to church and talk about it and ask if anybody knows anybody and does anyone know anyone that can do anything about this. And it's so much easier now. I mean, in that regard, the internet is such a blessing because you can easily find some help, some people to talk to. It is at your fingertips, and there was a time when there really wasn't help like that. And I ended up getting help from a Native American spiritual lady. I'm Catholic like you, but I was very grateful to have found her, and she gave me a list of things to do, and I did them all. And she told me how to act, and I did my best to follow everything that she said. And I could go into what she said, but um, in a way, basically, if you wanted to summarize it, it was kind of like a re-blessing of the space, and then to kind of ignore it and give it none of your energy, because the more energy and the more fear and the more curiosity and all of the things that you give it just are like throwing more lighter fluid on the campfire. And she said that, if you think you see something, pretend you don't, and keep re-blessing the space and saying that everything other than, your family and people that you invite in the door are not welcome here. No one else is welcome here. This is a sacred space. And to put blessed things around and make it a sacred space. And because we had a joke for a while there at our house, because we had a Blessed Virgin Mary statue, and like a lot of people have one of those, in front of the house facing the street. And then one day we were like, maybe we should turn her around and let her look at the house for a while. Because,
Yeah.
over
Yeah, I hear
here,
you.
because it was starting to get kind of hairy and awful. But yeah,
Or just bring her
so
inside. Listen, I know I don't want the show to end without me having you tell everybody about all the new stuff you got going on. Everybody knows you're my publisher. Um, my my book almost made you not want to do these kind of books anymore. But before, if we have time to talk a little bit about my book, what's crazy is I know you know about this attachment now that people are reaching out to me, telling that my book has
right.
this attachment. Even my producer, Joe Warner, the guy behind the camera, just recently got my book, and he had a couple of dreams. Very vivid. I wouldn't call them night terrors. He may correct me later, but very vivid dreams about this spirit in the book. Anyway, I want to talk about you've got a new book out, a children's book, and you've also published another book, a 10th anniversary edition book for Bill Bean. I love Bill. And you've got a new perfume out, and I've already got a bunch of orders for you. So
Isn't that nice?
if
That's
the
so cool.
show ends, at least I know I got you on the right track to tell some of your fans about what you got going on. So start with the children's book, go into Bill's, and then talk a little bit about your perfume.
The children's book is absolutely brand new. The paperback just came out yesterday. And the children's book is about a little, like, hand story that I do with my granddaughter. and it's called Because That's How Much I Love You. And, we go eye and point to our eyes, and then we make hearts with our hands for love and point for you all the way to the moon, all the way to the stars. This whole thing that we do. And I did that because I thought that that would be fun for other kids and also bonding for parent and child or grandparent and child. And then it's a Christian version, so it goes into prayer, a very simple prayer. I ask for love to be in me and for love to be in everyone. So there's that sense of love and respect for self, but also love and respect for everyone. And so I did that, and I also want to promote that as like a fundraiser for different churches, charities, organizations, if they want to get the book at a price, a special price that you would get at Amazon for retailers, and then sell the book, and keep that extra couple of dollars towards whatever they need it for. I think a book is a beautiful way to raise some money. Bill Bean's
Absolutely.
Dark Force Revisited 10th Anniversary Edition. Bill started out with his story on the original A Haunting on Discovery Channel. That's oh, early 2000s. I'm sorry, I can't remember
A
the
while
exact
ago,
year, but
yeah.
I think that's what it was. Early 2000s. And um, his story was the Bean family story. I'm trying to think of the name of his actual episode, but I'm sure you can find it. And you can, if you find the book, uh, Dark Force Revisited, I did put the link to the YouTube video to watch the episode of what happened with his family in Glen Burnie, Maryland, which just so tragic. And that has shaped him into the man he is today, where his whole life is devoted to being a deliverance minister, spiritual warfare specialist like yourself. And then my perfume, that is kind of a fun thing because it's kind of like me. I started off doing something else. Doing something else, and along the way I get these little ideas, and I'm like, hmm, what would be cool? And then I'm doing that, and then it's like rubbing my chin. You know what? I think this would be cool. And the next thing you know, I've got boxes coming with, roll-on perfume bottles to my house and designing labels. And I did a lot of research, and I found out what perfume oils were aphrodisiac, and I got like way down deep into this, and I was just having a ball. So this is what I came up with, and I thought that I would offer that. And it says a return to love on the bottle, which I think that as a people, maybe we're ready for a return to a little bit of sweetness and romance. Um, I think that we're a little dulled down as a society from what we used to be, but that's a whole nother show. I was going to say something before I went in this big long-winded thing again.
That's okay. That's okay. You're
Oh,
doing fine.
you. I was going to talk
I'm
about you.
I'm realizing how much
You
I miss
and your
talking to
book
you.
and these experiences because I want to tell the audience that I did something really unusual, but for 10 months, I was continually working on really darkly paranormal books. For 10 months, I continually had one that I was working on, and Shawn's was the last one. And all of these books, like, I have paranormal experiences along the way, and it doesn't slow me down. I keep going, but I feel like there's spirits out there that don't want this material to go out into the world. And then as soon as I publish it, the paranormal stuff connected to that book will stop. But I feel like whatever the book is about, that spirit, that circumstance, all of that, it knows that the author wrote it, and sometimes the author is also having a resurgence of experiences while I'm working on the book, getting ready for publication. But Shawn's book is, I actually came out and said the scariest book. Even I just told everybody about Bill Bean. Shawn's book, just something about the combination of stories and the frank way that you wrote about the exorcism at the end of the book that you were associating. It was very scary indeed. And after Shawn's book, I took 6 months off. I wouldn't do any paranormal books at all for six
Yeah.
months. I was like, because it was so intense. And this is what I thought about every day. I'm editing, I'm reading these lines over and over, and um, it's very intense. And I don't feel like it's very healthy going from one to another. And my family also felt like, why don't you step back from this for a while and do other things? And, my mother's in poor health, so it seemed like a good time to just sort of reassess and take a breather from it and lighten up because it's very intensive, very serious, and thinking about it all the time is kind of uh, um, takes its toll, I believe. Um, and
Yes.
I took the break, and then I came back out with Bill, but I did take a break in between. But your book is very, very scary, and there's a lot of understanding to be gleaned from reading what you wrote about. So I do recommend, not just because I was publisher, but I guarantee that people that pick up God, Ghosts, and Paranormal Ministry and start reading it will finish the book, have a hard time putting it down, and I believe that their understanding of the paranormal world will expand. And I love the way you wrote about such a wide variety of things. This is not just one story. This is a lot of different stories. And Shawn has a beautiful way of writing where, just when you think that you can hardly breathe reading this book, he writes something kind of funny to break that for you for a minute because it does get that intense. And
I did that for
I
me too.
think you did that way.
I did that for me too. Uh, while I was
Yeah.
writing it, because sometimes, uh, I don't know how you did it, to be honest with you. People ask me all the time, when are you coming out with another one? I left probably 4 chapters out of that book. I may write another one. I may do like what Bill did and add them just to the original book and come out with a revised edition in a few years. But
Mhm.
it was
Mhm.
hard. It was really hard to
Mhm.
revisit a lot of those things that I didn't want to have to revisit. They were done. I moved
Right.
on from them, but you have to revisit them. But a lot of stuff, I mean, it was probably most active here in my home during the time I was actually writing it. And then Sharon was editing it, typing it in the computer. And then whatever was in the computer was what I eventually sent you. But,
Mhm.
so many people, since I've met you, I've met so many people that either want to write a book, don't know who to send it to get it published, how to go about doing that, or they want to be a publisher. Well, that must be easy. I'm just going to be a publisher. Everybody will send me their books, I'll publish them, and that'll be it. And I've even seen a couple of people that you've published their books after whatever time span the contract was between you two, went on their way, tried to start
Yeah.
their own publishing thing, and didn't work out. It seems like it didn't work out. It's not to be
Well,
taken for granted. But it's very hard, and it's what you do. I mean, you pretty much are living what's going on in that book you're editing, and with all of the
right.
stuff, paranormal activity that you had happening, with all of the books like that you edited and published, I can't believe you kept going. Most people would have just said, "No, I'm done. This is just too
Yeah.
crazy." I haven't even read my own book because I'm afraid I'm going to read my own book and think I'm crazy. I don't know.
I want you
That's why I talk
to,
to a
first of
psychiatrist
all,
every month.
I want you to read your own book because now enough time has gone by where you can just sort of read it almost like it's not your story, even though you know it is. You're just enough pulled back away from it. Secondly, I think a lot of people, when they want to leave me and they want to go and do their own thing and they, think that they're ready to do it, but there's a whole lot of aspects of book preparation. And I'm constantly trying to explain to people, like, the way that you give me a book is not the way I can submit it. So much stuff has to be done to it. I don't want to bring up particular examples, but I do know of people that they didn't have the things that I had at my disposal. These are tools that I use to do this, and they just think that you just, write a book and type it up and that's it, but no, it isn't. Like the way that you would take a book and take it to a printer, for example, and the printer could print your book, that's not the way that Amazon or any other platform would accept your material. And you have to have everything done to their specs, and the cover has to be done to their specs. I'm not saying I'm a genius, I'm not Albert Einstein, but there's things that you have to learn. And what I do, one aspect of my personality that fits real well for this is that I'm a patient person, and I can sit for hours and, go line by line and look things over, and then, check it over again. And you know what, I'm going to look this over one more time, because, and even then mistakes still make their way through. It's very hard, hyphenated words. We all forget that. All of us forget that from back in the day. Hyphenated words and compound words, and what are words together, which have a hyphen. Is this a compound word or two different words? And, mistakes are there. So I would say that it's a job for somebody who's a patient person, be a detail person, see somebody that doesn't mind researching and finding out things and figuring out, well, what do I have to do, to fix this? And also, I'm not the most money motivated person. I did a lot of projects because I thought they were cool projects. When I put a book out, put a book out into the world, and I tell the author, let's see what happens. Because there's a lot of people that think, well, make $1 gazillion and get a house on the hill. And some people do. But, that you just have to put it out there because you believe in it, and then see what happens. And if the book doesn't sell real well, it doesn't mean that you're a bad writer. It doesn't mean anything negative on you. The market is tough, really tough. And a lot of the time that you put into a book, you might not really feel like it was worth it, and you could judge yourself poorly. So write a book that you feel is cool and worthy of going out into the world, and kiss it and bless it and put it out there, and just let it go and see what happens. But I think there's a lot more that goes into it than people realize looking at it from the surface. And that's the problem, and it's time consuming. Um, so, and then you have a deadline, and you're scrambling to get something done, and you have to get it done. And, sometimes things go slower than you anticipated, but I don't think people really get everything that goes into just the book preparation to make it look good and right and be submissible. I have people try and send me books on legal pads in the mail. I'm
Yeah.
like, oh no, no, we can't do this. But um, it's been a really interesting journey. I've met a lot of great people. I've read a lot of very cool stories. I put out a lot of cool books. And, we just have to roll with the punches a little bit and put our stuff out there and see what happens. That's all we can do.
I want to ask you something about one of the first books I saw that you'd put out way back when we first met was Amazing Paranormal Encounters. And there's like what,
Mm-hmm.
4 volumes to that? Are you thinking about another? I have stories I want to give to you for those
Okay,
books. Are
I'm
you
going
going
to
to do
tell you
another
the
volume of
absolute
that?
truth. Are you ready for the absolute truth?
I don't know if I am.
I had stories for that, and that series was going very well. People were interested in it, and people were buying it, and it was very cool because each chapter was from a different notable person in the paranormal. You had to either be an author, or you had to have a radio show, or a tour, or some kind of something going. They weren't just stories from regular people. So you could read this variety of stories. I had 12 stories in each book, generally speaking, and they did well. And then by the time we got to the fifth one, I still had people that wanted to do it, but I had stuff like, well, if I'm in it, I have to be listed as the first author. I wanted to be the first author listed on the cover. And then people saying, if this person is in the book, I don't want to be in the book because I don't like them. And I think that they're a fake. And I don't want to be in any book that they're in. So all of the like sixth grade stuff came out, where we're all just going to act like that. And getting offended by the way I was assembling the books. And the way I was assembling the books was like this. I tried to mix up the stories so that there wouldn't be like 3 haunted house stories in a row. I like to come out strong with something that everybody expects. So that could be a nice haunted house story. And then I would go to like a haunted hospital. And then maybe a haunted battlefield. And I would try to keep the variety like that. So the order of the authors in the book was basically just by the way I wasn't judging who's the most important. I was arranging the stories where I felt like it would keep people's intrigue going and separate, if there were 3 stories of haunted houses, I didn't want them back to back. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So basically, that book series crashed and burned because of
Ah,
people problems. And
a
I
shame.
guess I could continue it. I could continue it and just start clean slate, and have all fresh people, and they might like that because some of the people that have been in the book were in a couple of times. We could put one out with all fresh people, and I still do sell a few copies of those, and people still do follow it. What I thought was, when I was younger, I used to like to read like those Reader's Digest condensed books and the anthologies, and they would have a variety of stories. And I thought, not to take credit for some kind of great big thing, I'm sure it's not just me, but to put out an anthology. And the hysterical thing about it, which truly is hysterical, was that it had a very simple cover, and it was just an idea like, what the heck? And the book did so well. It was a #1 bestseller, and then it stayed in like the top 10 for like 6 months. And people were buying it and leaving reviews, and there was a great variety, like I was saying, in these books. And I started the Kindle out at 99 cents just to see if I get people interested and read them, because I knew that if it kept doing well, I was going to do a second one. Anyway, because that happened, which was a great thing and also a very awful thing, this very awful thing was that I got this idea that this is easy. You just write a book and make it look nice and a nice cover and a good description, and you put it on Amazon, and people love it. And then I had Rick Keeber with his Forever Ash, which was actually our flagship book. He just got married this weekend. I'm sure he's
Oh,
not
good.
listening because he's on his honeymoon, but congrats to Rick
You
and
never
Libby.
know.
Um,
They could be on a smoke break.
You'd be like, wait, and that's on the radio. No, just wait. We have to listen to this. I'm sure that's happening. But anyway, um, that book did great too. So now I had 2 books that just were like, doing crazy wonderful. And so I think that that's normal. And so I think that every time I put out a book and it has a nice story and a nice cover and it's all nice and clean and looks beautiful inside with a good description, that hundreds of people are going to just rush over and buy it. And so then I put out a book where it doesn't, and I'm just like, well, what the heck is this? You know what I mean?
Well,
And I
listen,
didn't realize like how
before I
fortunate
let you
I was in
go,
the
I
beginning.
have
What?
everybody wants before I let you go, everybody's going to want to
Okay.
know. I went on your website the other day and it said Stellium Books headed in a new direction. What about all
Yeah.
these people that are thinking about writing a book or have already written a book and they know you, they love
Okay.
you, they would like you to be their publisher? Are you still doing that, and can they reach out to you?
Yeah.
Or uh, are
Yeah.
you going to do something
This
else?
is what we're doing is we're making a new website. I also I want to go a little bit more getting involved into doing books for fundraising purposes, which I was talking about and I've talked to you about before. But I do all kinds of things. So generally, and I still have my WordPress blog up. And there's a contact page in there. If anybody wants to go over there, there's a lot of articles about writing Stellium books on WordPress. And basically, what I ask for is one chapter. I take a sample chapter and a synopsis of what your book is about in general. Doesn't have to be a real long. And then I take that as a submission, and then we talk about it. I don't take as many as I used to, but yes, I look everybody's stuff over, and I do set up a time to talk to them about what they're doing, and I do give them some recommendations. Even if we end up not doing a book together, I will take the time to talk to you about your book. So also Shawn has my email, Addie. Anybody that wants to inquire further about anything about books, about Bill's book, about, the perfume, the new children's book, anything. Shawn knows how to get in touch with me, so we could send a message to him and he'll get it to me. Or you could find Stellium Books on the WordPress site and send me a message through my contact page.
Annette,
Ah,
I love you.
yes,
I
I
want
love
you
you
to
too.
have. I hope your
I love you,
mother's.
Sharon.
She's on my prayer list. I pray for your mom all the time.
Thank you.
Thank your brother for
Hey,
me for kind of helping you out tonight, so you could talk with me. It really means a lot. I'm not done with you yet. Will you come back sometime?
hey, I certainly will.
All
I
right,
had a
sweetie.
good
Have a
time.
great
I
evening.
always
Thank
have
you
a
so
good
much.
time.
I love you. Talk to you soon. Okay.
Okay, thank you. Bye.
Got it. Good night, brothers and sisters. That was Annette Munnich, owner of Stellium Books. I'll be here next Sunday. Listen, a lot of people have been reaching out to me wanting to know where they can listen to Talking Paranormal and Ghost Hunt. That's an actual event that you will travel here to Las Vegas and attend in person. I'm speaking at it, and then after the show, we go on a 2-hour ghost hunt of the Binions Hotel and the Apache Hotel. Very haunted. That's Halloween night. Until next Sunday, brothers and sisters, God bless you all. Good night, Harold. Rest in peace. Good night, Ernie. Good night, Bill. Good night, Dan. God bless you all. Good night.
Tonight's show was brought to you by GoTech Packs. Need an affordable and convenient solution for handling your gear? Check out GoTech Packs, a versatile solution for organizing and storing all of your important gear. GoTech Packs' smart design are synonymous with quality and durability that's engineered to last. From survivalists to preppers, GoTech Packs has something for everyone. Their tactical vests and camera backpacks are perfect for the paranormal enthusiasts and adventurers alike. They even have backpacks and tactical vests for dogs. So whether you're on a tactical mission or deep inside a haunted location, GoTech Packs has your back with an impressive variety of configurations. Find the perfect bag for any endeavor at GoTechPacks.com. And right now, get a special discount. Use the Spirit Realm Network's discount code SRN10 and get 10% off any purchase over $30. Check out GoTech Packs today at gotechpacks.com. That's gotechpacks.com. Thank you for tuning into tonight's live episode of Reverend Shawn's Paranormal Ministry. Please visit ghostbegone.biz for more information on Reverend Shawn and any future announcements. Next week's show is on October 27th at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 5 p.m. Pacific. Tonight's show was filmed live and broadcasted on the Spirit Realm Network and produced by an Eyebrows production. Check out Spirit Realm's Facebook and website for other shows and live static cameras across the United States. Till next week, be safe and have a great week. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you next week.